welcome back, everybody. You're listening to Pop Palace. My name is Jack. I am the host. Here at Pop Palace, we celebrate iconic women and queer people in pop culture and pop music. So, welcome back. We are on episode 3 of season 3, all about Grace Jones. In our last episode, we went over portfolio and fame, Grace's disco beginnings. We talked about all of her glamour on the dance floor, a little bit of drama, and her club domination. We learned a little bit about Grace's upbringing, her time in the gay clubs, and so much more. Today's theme, transformation. One chapter closes and another opens. As Grace said, "I never asked to be famous. I was just prepared to be influential." I love this quote so much for a few different reasons. I love how it speaks so truly to who Grace is at her core and the way she's been since the beginning. And I think as a listener and as a fan of Grace, I find it inspiring that she had this confidence from an early age. Grace hones her confidence and she creates a third album. In 1979, Grace's final disco album she created with Tom Moulton will be called Muse. The vibe, moody, spiritual, and of course a little theatrical, as we know Grace loves the theater. As we know before, Grace has worked with Tom Moulton on her past 2 albums, Portfolio and Fame. These albums were disco heavy, and this is something that Grace has really leaned into. She has been known for her disco tracks, making her way into the club scene, and so much more. Her decision to work with Tom Moulton again came at no surprise. This time, they're doing something a little different. The vibe, still moody, still spiritual, and a little theatrical. But Grace is preparing to leave her disco era and go into something new. So this is a farewell to disco. Some of the notable tracks are Sinning. This track really sets the tone for the rest of the album and is almost like a pre-look into her new era. The next notable track is Saved. This is a gospel disco blend. I feel like Grace got a little bit of the inspiration from growing up in the church, and she claimed that energy and she claimed the style of singing and brought it into her own world and created it in a disco medley. And last but not least, my favorite notable track is Repentance, or Forgive Me. This is a theme of release and redemption, maybe a fight within Grace herself, facing the strong feelings that she's had as a kid all the way up till now. Being so religious, brought up in such a strictly religious home, repentance is something that she's been faced with her whole life. During this album, you can feel Grace's energy almost reflective. She's reflecting on her disco era and the Twilight era, and she's hinting at she's ready to evolve. By the time you're finished with the album, you can feel that Grace is ready for something new. She's not doing disco half-heartedly. She's still putting everything into it. But she's ready for a new evolution, something Grace has always done, and something that's kept Grace in the spotlight for all these years. I truly think that what creates a great artist, a generational artist, is their ability to transform and evolve. Without this, you'll be stuck in the same era forever, and fans will get tired and bored. But not for Grace. During this era, Grace was asked why she's moving away from disco, and she responded, "Disco is not dead. Disco is life." And she said it with irony, too. So we do know Grace has a sense of humor. And to me, this just seems like she's moving out of disco for the current moment, but she's never getting rid of it. She's never leaving that part of herself behind. After Muse, Grace spends some time alone. And then she decides to part ways with producer Tom Moulton. And she heads to Compass Point Studios in the Bahamas. She is in search of a new sound, a new era, a new evolution. Once in the Bahamas, good talent wasn't hard to find. Grace collaborates with Sly Robbie, Sadkin, and Barry Reynolds. For those who don't know who Sly and Robbie are, Sly Dunbar and Robbie Shakespeare are a legendary Jamaican rhythm section and production duo. Sly Dunbar, drums, and Robbie Shakespeare on bass. They are known for their tight, dub-influenced grooves and pioneering modern reggae. So they were at Compass Point Studios, and they were the band that was playing there as the house band. When they met with Grace, they infused a post-punk attitude into their reggae rhythms, and this helped create Grace's brand new sound. Grace's other collaborator, Alex Sadkin, is an American engineer and producer. He worked with Island Records and oversaw the Compass Point studio sessions. He co-produced Warm Leatherette and helped Grace craft her new sonic identity: clean, spacious, and edgy. Alex also worked with Duran Duran, the Talking Heads, and the Thompson Twins. And Barry Reynolds, the last collaborator. He's a British guitarist and songwriter, also a member of Compass Point Studios. He co-wrote and played many of Grace's tracks, including Private Life. He also previously played with Marianne Faithfull and was known for his Norrish minimalist guitar work. Even though Grace is including brand new collaborators, she's now in charge, visually, musically, and emotionally. Her collaborators are there to help her and build her vision, not tell her what to do. As Grace said, I had to create an image of somebody who is strong and powerful. Grace Jones is a role I play. With Warm Leatherette, I was finally making the music I wanted to make. I love to hear that Grace was finally making the sound she wanted to. As an artist, it can be hard sometimes with all the pressure from collaborators, labels, and fans to create a sound that they want, and maybe something that's not truly aligned with you. But this isn't something Grace ever struggled with. She always knew what was her and stayed true to herself. Now we are in the 1980s. We enter an era of edgy, stripped-down Grace. Grace enters the reggae and new wave and punk scene. She's still androgynous, angular, and almost armor-like. She has this bold stature, dark blues, dark colors, and she really gives us this power. I really think you should look up Grace Jones 1980s. You'll see a lot of bold shoulder pads, squared looks. It's amazing. She really does have such a powerful look, and I don't even know how to explain. You can just see her confidence through her imagery. Some of the key tracks were Warm Leatherette, a bold industrial opener. This is the same name as the album. Warm Leatherette really carries the rest of the album and really does a great job at setting the scene. This is one of my favorite Grace Jones songs of all time, and I think that it's really fitting that it is the title track. Private Life, one of my other favorites, is an effortlessly cool and cold vibe. Private Life really digs deep into what Grace is thinking and how she feels. And then we have Love is the Drug. This is a rework of a past song. It's smoky, a little edgy. I really suggest you listen to all three of these. And then lastly, Breakdown. This is when Grace gets really vulnerable. This is a new format for Grace. She's trying something different. She's branching out. And I think it worked great. During this time, Grace says, "When I perform, I become the aggression that I have inside. I act it out. People thought I was a man. Some still do. But that just makes me work harder. I become my own fantasy." This is probably, I know I said this about my last quote, but this is one of my all-time favorite Grace Jones quotes. She is building her own fantasy, so others' view of her doesn't really affect her or really matter. She's working harder for herself, and all the views of other people towards her don't really affect her. Warm Leatherette became a touchstone for underground art scenes, club kids, and queer performers. I don't think you guys understand how influential Grace Jones is in the queer community. Grace was with all the club kids. She was with all the outcasts. Grace hung out with Divine. Grace hung out with all the freaks, the cool freaks, and was never afraid to stand out. Her masculinity, futurism, and her refusal to explain herself really set her apart. Her androgynous look was something that could not be missed. She stood out in a crowd. She stood out anywhere she was. Grace was never afraid to blur the lines of gender. She inspired a whole generation of gender boundary pushers. People that realized gender is a social construct. People's strong grasp at these ideals don't affect me. I can live my own fantasy. It doesn't matter what they think or what they see, as long as I am me. During this era, Grace says, "I believe in individuality, that everybody is special, and it's up to them to find the quality and let it live. The future is no sex, no gender." I cannot get over how iconic that was. That was in the 80s. And even still today, people are having problems with sex and gender. Gender is a social construct, sex is biology. And so as we look back, Muse was a farewell kiss to disco. Warm Leatherette was a war cry, a cry of authenticity, proving herself. Grace Jones stopped being a product and became an architect of pop rebellion. In the next episode, we'll continue to discuss how Grace continues to evolve from her next album, Nightclubbing and Living My Life. Thank you all for listening to episode 3. I am so grateful. I'm so happy you guys are interested. I know these episodes are quite short, but I wanted to leave some room for you guys to do a little research and exploring on your own. Thanks for listening. You should follow us on all social media, pop.palace. And we also have a website, pop-palace.net, where you can keep up to date with all of our new releases, interviews, and everything else. And to close us off, I have one last quote from Grace. I'm not a woman. I am not a man. I am Grace Jones. And that's it, everybody. I'll see you next week. Bye.